guys, welcome back. Yes, I'm wearing exactly the same thing as the last video because I recorded them back to back. I am pressed for time and needed to just get it done. Now, last video we went over kids with dealing with chronic stress and the effects, and this time we are finally on to coping mechanisms. Now, coping mechanisms, I'm not going to go over pharmaceutical because that's not my area of expertise. No shame if you need them. Do what you gotta do. And obviously therapy and psychology are useful tools that are well covered. So again, I'll say yes, go look for them. They're wonderful tools, but I'm not specifically covering them. I'm trying to go over stuff where they're not as mainstream. Now, there's a lot of different resources, and first I'll go over things you can do that don't require you to pay anything out of pocket. Because YouTube has wonderful resources for things like emotional freedom technique. It's this tapping pattern, and it helps. I've done it, and I do find it useful. It's not my first choice, but it is useful, and some people really love it and find it very helpful. Another one is meditation. Now, research on meditation shows that even 10 minutes of meditation can lower cortisol levels, and those lowered levels can still be felt weeks afterwards from one 10 to 20 minute session of meditation. Now, meditation is not a blank slate. You can look up guided meditations on YouTube, and I would recommend sticking with shorter ones just to start. And you also don't have to be sitting in lotus position. You are not a monk. Go ahead, lay down or sit in some comfortable position. Don't put yourself in pain, because you're just going to be focused on the ache instead of actually meditating. And kids can do this readily as well. Same thing with the tapping. But those are two things that you can start for coping. If you haven't watched the other videos on why this would be essential to do with adults or kids, other than just you feel like utter shite and want to fix it, go back at the end of the video. You'll see a link for the whole playlist, so just go back and take a look through it. But some other things you can do. Now, most of our diets, at least for North America, are going to be heavily deficient in magnesium unless you are specifically taking a supplement of some sort. Now, you can add Epsom salts to your bath, and that helps, but it's not necessarily going to be enough. Eat your leafy greens, because the center of the chlorophyll molecule is magnesium, but again, the soils are heavily depleted due to farming practices, so it's still probably not going to be enough. And you can play around with dosages a bit more freely because it's water soluble. You'll know you've hit your upper limit for saturation because it will just give you diarrhea. Not pleasant, but having done it by accident, I can tell you it doesn't hurt the way other things that give you diarrhea do. It's just cleansing. I'll see if I can find a body weight chart so you have a basic idea of where to start, or you can just follow the bottle directions if you're taking a pill. It's generally safe. But yeah, magnesium, and having too little magnesium in your system will exacerbate or make worse the effects of things like anxiety, and depression. So it can help alleviate some of those things. Vitamin D is another one that you want to look into, especially if you go through prolonged periods of not being out in direct sun, because your skin synthesizes vitamin D due to direct sun exposure. Sunscreen will block this, so keep that in mind. How much to take depends on your body weight and this is dangerous, but color of your skin, because pale skin is an adaptation to less sunlight. My skin will synthesize all of my vitamin D from direct sun exposure in roughly 2 minutes. That's not long, but the darkest skin out there will take up to 20 minutes in the same sun, because it's an adaptation to prevent UV damage. They come from sunny places ancestrally, and so just keep that in mind. It'll help tell you whether or not you need to, and whether or not you necessarily need a higher dose in addition to your body weight. So just keep that in mind if you look into that, especially since it is a fat-soluble vitamin, which means it gets stored in the fat. It is possible to get toxic doses without your body purging. So magnesium, vitamin D, EFT, or emotional freedom technique, and meditation. After that, you're looking at herbs. Now, there are lots of herbs, but you will need to look up drug-herb interactions if you choose to do any of them. I'm not going to cover any pill versions. I like to use them in their raw form, just put them as a tea or something like that. But one of my favorites is catnip. Organic catnip as tea. It's absolutely fabulous and wonderfully calming. Same thing with chamomile, although chamomile will not be the right choice if somebody has an allergy to anything in the daisy family. You're running a risk of a cross allergy with chamomile. If you don't have any issues like that, you can put them together. You can absolutely put them together. You know what, that's a lot of information. Both of those can be made as a tea. You can put them together, check for drug interactions, and that gives you 6 different things to look at for coping with stress and lowering the effects that are not commonly covered. Again, therapy is essential. You need human contact. You do. No matter how introverted you are, you need contact with at least one person, because we're designed as social creatures. Your brain, your physiology, everything is hardwired to need at least a certain amount of human contact, especially physical touch. Even if you especially if you hate to be touched, it's probably a byproduct of something that you may not remember. So, yeah, all of those work with kids. Do your research, be safe, and until next time, bye-bye for now. Like, comment, and subscribe.